So you said the person that I was going to interpreter for.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on our second community forum to discuss the American Rescue Plan of 2021 funding opportunity for the Rochester City School District. We have a nice agenda ahead of us, as well as an opportunity for the community to give their input on how we will use our American Rescue Plan dollars tonight. So we are very excited to have this opportunity to be able to hear your feedback and record it, as well as allow for you to have the opportunity to submit feedback as well. So my name is Janelle Morris. I am the Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning in the Rochester City School District. And we appreciate you taking your time to come out tonight and provide your input and recommendation on the use of our American Rescue Plan dollars. Tonight, we will start by providing you with some background information on the various coronavirus aid funding streams that have been directed to the district, dig a little deeper into the American Rescue Plan, and then provide ample time for speakers to provide input into our use of these funds. So, just to give you an overview of what the coronavirus funding is about, as a result of the federal government providing emergency aid to various government agencies to respond to the coronavirus pandemic, the Rochester City School District will see an additional approximate $300 million over the next 3 years. This funding is earmarked to help our district and other districts across the nation address the academic, social, emotional, and health needs of students that have arisen as a result of the pandemic. The funding will be issued to the district in the form of three different streams. These are the CARES Act, which has already been received and included in the 2021-22 budget, the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, which was passed on October 2020, and the American Rescue Plan Act, which passed in March 2021. The opportunities available for these funding can have a powerful and lasting impact on the education of our children. So this is why we are hugely appreciative of you attending tonight to provide your recommendations to us. So as you can see, the breakout of the coronavirus stimulus funding, there's approximately 23 million that's been allocated for CARES Act coronavirus aid. For CRSA, or the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, there's approximately 87.5 million. And for the ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan Act money, there's 196 million allocated to that funding. So the American Rescue Plan, which was the last funding that I identified, or ARP funding, is the largest stream of funding that the district will receive. The total is about 197 million, as I described before. As with all federal funds, in order to receive this funding, the district will need to adhere to some guidelines, including the use of the funds in certain ways. First and foremost, the district is being advised to prioritize spending on non-recurring expenses. The funds can be used to enact district response efforts to the coronavirus as are listed here. Some allowable expenses of the funds also include provision of supplemental learning experiences to students, which can be focused on both academic and social emotional learning, such as those identified on this slide. And just to touch point on the pieces of the slide, some of the response efforts to the corona environment include coordinating and implementing response efforts to the pandemic, and also purchasing sanitation supplies and materials and PPE, as well as supporting facility inspections, repairs, improvements, and such to reduce the risk of our virus transmission, and also supplementing areas of academics such as supplemental learning experiences that are relating to remote learning, including the purchase of hardware, software, internet access, providing mental health support, and things of that nature. So additionally, 20% of the funds, or approximately $40 million, must be used to bolster students' academic programming in a way that will make up for instruction that may have been lost during the pandemic. Finally, funds can be used for any activity that would fall within some of the existing educational laws, including those listed on this slide. So some of the areas that are allowable to use these funds for addressing learning loss or gaps in learning that may have happened over the pandemic period include assessment of student progress and determining need, implementing activities that will meet the needs of our students, providing information to families about how they can support students, and also including tracking and improving student attendance and engagement. So the district's ARP planning will center on students' academic and social emotional needs in alignment with our strategic priorities and the recommendations put forth by our independent monitors' academic and financial plans. Academics will be centered within the ARP plan and will include several core areas, which include these following areas: a focus on culturally responsive and informed practices, because the Rochester City School District is dedicated to be an actively anti-racist organization focused on providing students with affirming learning experiences where diversity, equity, and inclusion are at the center of decision-making. Another core area is the provision of high-quality learning experiences where every student has access to and engages with grade level content and high quality instructional materials daily. Another core area we are dedicated to includes the expansion of diverse programming, where every school will offer dynamic, innovative, and engaging programs and pathways where all students can find their voice and cultivate their respective passion. Another core area will include provision of expanded learning, where the Rochester City School District will provide robust expanded learning opportunities for all students that challenge them to engage in real-world application of their learning. And one other key core area that we will focus on with the funds will include the recruitment, development, and retention of high-quality staff. The Rochester City School District will ensure that staff members have the desire, belief, knowledge, and skills to provide high quality learning experiences to students every day. So we have a few guiding questions to help guide the feedback that we are receiving so that we can provide this to the superintendent and so that she can guide our decision-making process for the use of these funds based on public and stakeholder feedback. The guiding questions that have grounded the Rochester City School District as it plans for the use of these funds are on this slide. These questions are built from guidance that was issued by the Council of Great City Schools, and in keeping these questions at the forefront of planning, we are committing to effective and optimal use of funds. We share these questions with you as you present input and ask that you keep these questions in mind when formulating ideas for the use of funds. The questions are: how does this investment address student needs with regards to the strategic and independent monitors plans and the Rochester City School District's instructional priorities? What do we already know about the effectiveness of this investment, and how will this be measured in the Rochester City School District? And what resources are necessary to sustain this investment? What is the plan for this investment after this funding period ends? So, we have developed this parent and community forum as one of the many ways that we are engaging our stakeholders and collecting feedback to help us with the determination about how to use these funds. We had several forums already. This is the last parent and community forum that we are offering. However, if you want to learn more about the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, you can go to our website, which is located at www.rcsdk12.org/ARP, and you can submit a written feedback. You can also use the phone number that is located at that site, and you can also leave us a message. We can include your feedback. We have students who have submitted lots of feedback and have used also YouTube links to submit their feedback. So all of that feedback is shared with our superintendent and her executive cabinet team to help make sure that we incorporate stakeholder input into any decisions moving forward. We have concluded forums that we have had offered to students, to employees, to principals. We're meeting with several other groups. We've presented to the board. We're meeting with our collective bargaining units. So we are offering multiple ways to make sure that we are engaging our stakeholders in this use of this funds. And with that in mind, we are opening up the opportunity for our speakers tonight to participate in our feedback process. So thank you for your participation this evening. We have had more than 30 people sign up to participate this evening. Please know that there are opportunities to provide feedback using the ways that I've just described. And we are going to go ahead and begin with our first speaker of the evening.
Good evening, Rochester community. Thank you all for coming out and taking the time tonight to provide us with your feedback for our district's use of American Rescue Plan funds. My name is Carrie Pecor. I'm the Executive Director of Grants and Program Accountability in the district, and I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Steve Lamort, who is the Director of Grant Development in the Office of Grants and Program Accountability, and we will be facilitating the speakers list tonight. So at this time, we'll begin with our first speaker, who's been reported in the waiting room, and that is Ms. Karina Harris. So Ms. Harris, when you're unmuted, you have 2 minutes to share your input and feedback with us. Thank you.
So it looks like Karina couldn't be with us tonight, so we're going to move ahead to speaker number 2, which would be Mario Rosario. I'm going to unmute you, Mario.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thanks.
How
are you?
So I'm good, thank you. I'm on my phone right now, and I had to go on my my Google document, so my camera will be turned off if you guys don't mind. But sure. You guys will hear me.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 moment, please. Okay. My request is that the RCSD invest in culturally relevant foods for the kids who are not from here and are more healthier lunches and vegetarian options. Kids get bullied for bringing in food that relates to their culture, which is not okay. That leads to internalized hatred and mental illness. Adding more culturally relevant foods will stop foreign kids from being discouraged to eat their food and educate kids who only eat American food. The ARP federal stimulus only happens one time over the span of a few years. There is still plenty of money left over to fund TWA student priorities, which would be us and me included. With the parts of our foundation aid that we students won, emphasization on the we won. We had to win that. We demand that New York State fully funds what the RCSD owes to ongoing student priorities, which emphasization on the O's. to us. The RCSD needs to use the money that is given to invest in healthier, organic, tastier lunches to help us all become successful. There will be a link to a video in the chat if anybody wants to see a few students' videos. Sorry, I got a little distracted. But if you guys would like to see, there's going to be a link below of me and a few of my friends talking about what the RCSD needs to get to us. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thanks very much for your comments, Mary.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to the next speaker on the list, who is Ms. Sarah Adams. Sarah, you'll be unmuted and then you may begin.
Hi everyone, can you guys hear me? Am I cutting up?
You're a little low.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, let me move closer and I'll speak up. My name is Sarah Adams. I'm also a member of Teens with Attitude, and I'm just here to also push youth demands. I wanted to point out that hearing the like priorities, there was like a list and there were things on there like invest in technology, new technology, but to me what that sounds like, let me see if I turn my camera off, can you guys hear me better? I was just saying I would want to know a little bit more about what those demands, not demands, those priorities that the district has are, because they don't sound like what we need the most right now. And one of the things that I wanted to push for is having more culturally relevant curriculum. And with COVID, that had a big effect on our mental health, and I saw that that was one of the priorities. And I think culturally relevant curriculum even goes towards mental health to some extent, because students need to be talking about what's going on in their communities, and they need to be talking about their history and not feeling like they're being ignored. And I just think it's super important that we push to implement a lot of the curriculum that's out there, because a lot of the stuff is already, it is already out there, and we do already have, you know, access to it. It's just not being put into place. One of the things I know about is the anti-racist curriculum about redlining, and it talks about Clarissa Street, and I think there's just so many different things out there like that that we need to, you know, start using so that students actually want to come to school. And I think another thing that goes hand in hand with that is having more class opportunity and letting students know what their class opportunities are. So if that means training teachers to be able to teach a bigger variety of classes, if that means paying for resources that don't need to be continuously bought, because this is one-time money, paying for resources to be able to have students learn that type of stuff and have resources to teach those different classes, then we need to do that. I think there's so many different classes that could be being taught, and some schools do. Like I go to East and I have so many different opportunities to take different classes, and there's no reason that every student shouldn't be able to take a huge variety of classes, especially with this money coming in, because we can use it to train teachers, we can use it to pay for some of the curriculum that's already out there. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't even cost money. But yeah, I'm just here to push TWA's demands. We want culturally relevant curriculum. We want more Black and Brown teachers hired. We want mental health resources and social workers hired. We want better food. And I think that's it. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. We appreciate you coming out tonight. We hope you have a nice night. The next speaker on our list tonight is Ms. Marlena Sain. Ms. Sain, I'll unmute you and then you'll have 2 minutes to share your feedback.
Okay, my name is Marlena Sain. Hello. So it is imperative that you take into consideration what the RCSD students are saying they need, as opposed to what you think they need, because at the end of the day, they're the ones sitting in the classrooms every day. which is why restorative practices are important, because they begin with communication and understanding and allow for students to have a safe space to express themselves and to receive guidance from trained support staff. We can't solve problems unless we hear what those problems are, and change starts from within. So working alongside our teachers on a deeper level than just the curriculum will help students achieve a healthier relationship with their school. Restorative practices will also help problem solve, which can help prevent suspension, since suspensions only lead to further issues and don't actually solve anything. So I encourage you to help fund restorative practices. What we want is we want to hire 20 restorative coaches for the next 3 years, plus expenses for them to train all staff and student leaders in their schools, provide stipends for building level staff to run circles and coordinate restorative work in their buildings. We also want to help fund help zones and alternatives to suspensions in every building. Mental health supports, including additional social workers for 2021 and 2022, and an additional 20 million for to spread over the following 3 years to embed in restorative practices in the culture of every school. So, thank you.
Thank you for your feedback tonight. We appreciate you coming out. The next speaker we have on our list is Elijah Reeves Jr.
Hello, my name is Elijah Reeves. I work at Bosch Alarm. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work there if not for my precision optics training and IT experience at East High. Like most students in high school, I was told to go to college, but not told what to go to college for or the price of going to college. So I didn't put money aside for it or work while in college. Without the proper mindset or determination, I believe most people coming from high school to college will have trouble keeping themselves motivated for their degree, or the degree wouldn't will or the degree won't be worth the time and money spent. While if that same student took the time to work hard and complete pathways like the precision optic pathway or the IT pathway, they would have the credentials to go to place on their resume and have an easier time getting a job straight out of high school, which could then pay for their degree. In my case, precision optics helped me get a job in Bosch Alarm, which without the precision optic pathway, that opportunity wouldn't be available to me. And I'd probably be working at Walmart or McDonald's, making minimum wage, barely scraping by. While college is important, a stable income is more important. Students need guidance even after graduating to make sure they don't end up on the streets. They need a chance to work in the fields, see how the jobs they could work are for themselves. That is why I believe we can help you figure out how to spend some of the federal dollars to help students best.
Thanks very much for your comments. Next up, we have Jean Carlos Alomar. Jean Carlos, you should be unmuted.
Hello, my name is Jean Carlos Alomar. I graduated from East High School in 2018. I currently work for Transcat, but while I was in high school, I worked at AccuCode, which is an optics company, coding company, not too far away. I've also worked at Sidor Optics and Applied Image. And I feel as if I didn't take the precision optics program at East, I would be completely lost. If we had programs like that all around the city school district where kids can learn a trade, study it. Eventually, there's a bunch of companies here in Rochester that would like to hire these kids, even if they don't go to college. So, and it's not easy to know what you want to do when you're in high school, but if you have guidance to, and you try different things, you'll eventually figure it out. I just feel like you guys should just invest in programs like this one, help kids figure it out, because it's not easy, and college isn't the best route for some kids coming out of high school. You know, it's expensive. Some kids don't have the funds for it, or their families don't have the funds for it. And some of these companies are actually willing to put you through college if you work for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John Carlos. Next up is Quentin Noden. Quentin, you should be unmuted.
We need more culturally diverse teachers that will go the extra step and understand what we as students go through. Only 20% of teachers are culturally diverse. I personally left RCSD to go to a charter school, because in the charter schools, we have more colors of teacher, and having that connection with them gives us the ability to really be engaged in what we're learning and retain the information. And I have 2 younger siblings that are currently in the RCSD, and I don't want them to really go through the same thing I had to go through, trying to go through all the struggles of transferring and whatnot. We could get more culturally diverse teachers by recruiting them from HBCUs and just recruiting more teachers of color. Expand and promote learning programs like East High School's Teacher Leadership Institute, and take their feedback and concerns so we can keep them there instead of them leaving to go to other schools. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Quentin. Up next, we have Sheree Granderson, or excuse me if I'm pronouncing wrong. Sheree or Sheree?
It's Cherie.
Sorry, Sheree.
I think because I have a child that's in special ed and one child that's not. And it's hard for my youngest, thank you, Byron. It's hard for my youngest daughter to focus in school. And by them doing like the Zoom sessions, and I just want like extra help in the classrooms from either the parent or either a volunteer from the community to go into the classroom and help the kids out throughout the school, because it's hard. And I see both of them struggle every day, and they both in different grade levels. And it's even harder for me sometimes because I'll be trying to help them and I don't understand what I'm doing. So, you know, I just need to want some parents could go in there and volunteer, or have a para in the classroom to ask for help. And I was in special ed myself, and I'm at the East High School, and I graduated 2006, and I had all the resources. And now that they're taking like half of the special ed education out for the kids, it's hard and stuff. I just want like some parents to go into schools and help volunteer. It don't have to be the child school. It could be anybody's school. That's all.
Thank you, Cherie. Next up on our speaker list is Twain Anderson.
Hello. I would like to literally say thank you to, you know, the students that spoke up, because they are literally the people that are experiencing the issues in the city school district. And I literally hear a trend of the items I wanted to lift up tonight, which for my children and all the children in the city school district is the quality of food that we provide for them, which we know is not the best. And I know we need to think deeper and consider greater that, you know, we live in a district that lots of our children, the food that they receive in our schools are the only meals that they consume on a daily basis. So, I mean, if we could provide something a bit more rich and culturally, I mean, sensitive and relevant, I think it would be awesome for our children, because they truly just deserve better food. And I mean, it's bad enough they don't have food at home. And when they come to school, they don't want to eat the food either. That means we have children that are more hungry, which they're harder to learn. So I want us to consider that. And I also want us to also consider with this funding, the social and emotional issues that our children are going to re-enter school with, given, you know, the pandemic and everything and the trauma that compounded, given everything else that they already were experiencing. So we need to really, really invest in getting that aspect of our children better, because if their social and emotional well-being is not great, that means learning becomes harder. And, you know, we really have a gap right now that has been exacerbated by, you know, the remote learning. And for some kids that we know weren't even having access to resources to be a part of school. So we need to think about that. And thirdly, parents, when it comes onto this money, I truly believe parents need to literally help guide how this money is spent. It is very imperative. These are our children, our community. This basically, the funding is to make our Rochester City School better. And if it's going to be better, it's going to be imperative that parents have input on what we know is going to be best for our children, and also in conjunction with helping to guide what and how it should be spent. Is the accountability piece. I think parents should play a major role also in the checks and balances in how this funding is spent, because we know from history that money has been misused and all kinds of stuff in the district. And guess what? Our children suffer. So I believe moving forward, parents should be a part of that. And that's my piece. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. We appreciate your feedback tonight. Next on the speaker list tonight is Amy Malloy, a commissioner in our district who is also a parent. Ms. Malloy, thank you for expressing your feedback this evening. You're up next.
Thank you for unmuting me. Hello, my name is Amy Malloy. I am here solely as a parent this evening. I'm a proud parent to 4 scholars in RCSD at World of Inquiry and at East. They're in grades 3, 5, 7, and 11. I do happen to be also a high school history teacher, as well as been a resident in the city of Rochester for 26 years. I love RCSD, but I've watched our district steadily decline in that time period, with project and programming after project and programming never reaching fruition due to constant upper management turnover, amongst other things. As a parent and community member, I implore you to make the types of institutional and/or infrastructural changes needed to support and meet the varying needs of all students and families. We continue to add programming without addressing the district footprint and infrastructure. Our current setup is not sustainable financially nor environmentally. However, fiscal responsibility for this district shouldn't equate to our children not having access to the types of programming their suburban peers enjoy. It shouldn't mean simply maxing out class sizes or closing buildings. And what are the environmental impacts or footprints we create by our current infrastructure? How does our programming lead to community building or lack thereof? The answers will be complex, but root causes to our many challenges, as well as the solutions, need to be more than absolutes or hyperbole. We will never be able to offer better programming and increased rigor if our infrastructure can't sustain it, which it can't. All of this has been researched extensively in our community by many individuals, think tanks, and organizations. Please consider the work that they have already done here over the past 30 years in these various areas. I also implore the district as a parent to treat us parents and our many employees as partners in education. It's a team effort. Pitting parents, district, and community members against our collective bargaining units does not create the type of partnership or trust we need to create a system that is more than about scores on a state assessment or as high school graduation numbers. We are creating citizens of the world. In this process, our employees deserve to be treated with the utmost respect and decency, and treating them as the professionals that they are. But retaining the best and the brightest individuals for our students requires all hands on deck. We need a renewed focus on recruiting and retaining more teachers who look like the students they serve or who can relate to their students better culturally. We need increased investment in anti-racism and culturally responsive training for our teachers, increased social emotional learning opportunities, increased investments in school psychologists and social workers, healthy and culturally appropriate food offerings, and finally, renewed investment in world languages, art, music programs, as well as increased CTE programming at every high school by making partnership programs with local businesses. This type of programming increases access to social capital. We need increased investment in special education restructuring, as well as major increases in investment for our English language learning populations. Finally, as we look to add programming, we must also create an infrastructure that can accommodate this, which can only happen by neighborhood-based elementary schools. And in our most vulnerable and marginalized neighborhoods, we need increased investment in neighborhood-based community school models. It is our most marginalized students who suffer from our lack of infrastructure. And we all can fix this as partners and as collective investors in our children and community. I love RCSD. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Next in the waiting room on our speaker list tonight is Kirsten Brown Warren.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Kirsten Brown Warren, and I am a parent leader of a first grader and fourth grader at Anna Murray Douglas Academy number 12. I greet you with high hopes and great anticipation of what can be accomplished with the distribution of the American Rescue Plan funds to improve educational outcomes for our RCSD scholars. Now is the time to embark upon smart spending on effective programs and initiatives that are inspired by those whom they will serve, our children and families. You have heard the pleas of your most important constituents, our scholars, and I urge you to heed their cries for an overall better learning experience so that they may be better prepared to accomplish the dreams they have envisioned for themselves. Provide reliable and culturally appropriate mental health supports, serve lunches that fuel their minds and bodies so that they may perform at their best, and hire teachers of color who can best educate and relate to our scholars with historically accurate curriculum. Perhaps most pressing is addressing the unfinished learning that was brought about by many of our scholars having to do their best to learn in environments and on platforms that were unsuitable for their academic success and hindered their social and emotional interactions. Please fund genuine family engagement to offer the best educational opportunities that suit each individual scholar. Fund ways to engage us in planning before surveying. Ask us for suggestions before asking us to rubber stamp a plan. Offer wraparound programming through local and neighborhood agencies that will help to bolster both academic and social emotional learning, and partner with community organizations and businesses, and employ parents, grandparents, older siblings, church mothers, barbers, and all those who live in our communities to serve as coaches, school club leaders, classroom helpers, reading partners, mentors, etc., so our scholars may better see the support of their own communities envelop them as they learn in spaces that feel familiar and safe. Thank you, and let us not waste, but make haste during this critical opportunity to do what is most responsible to help our scholars succeed. Put our scholars first and do right by them as if they were all your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown Warren. Next on our speaker list tonight is Kololo Moyo White.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Kilolo Moyo White, and I am a parent leader, a community teacher, and take honor in my role as the Family and Community Engagement Specialist with Rock the Future. I am a proud parent advocate of School 23, Francis Parker, with a 5th grader and a second grader. I would like to use my time this evening to remind the board of the power of collective impact. The RCSD teachers, administrators, and community investors must begin to operationalize and prioritize the magic that exists within a vision that is guided by collective impact. Rock the Future's Parent Engagement Collaborative Action Network, or PECAN, In partnership with PLTI, or the Parent Leadership Training Institute, and NPLI, and a growing list of other corporate and community supporters, have a sign-on letter of support in which we have identified specific recommendations for this ARP funding. Within the list of recommendations, parents are demanding an opportunity to be shared decision makers in all the decisions that impact learning outcomes for our children. The voices and needs of the most marginalized families within the district must be heard and actively addressed through actions. The families and community members that have spoken today have already shared a resounding need for the RCSD and demand that there is an intentional increase in funding to strengthen community agency partnerships, which can open up employment opportunities for non-traditional pathways to accessing and hiring the people that are based and uplifting their experiences, not just their certifications. Parents and youth need more input on the curriculum choices and the vendor selections for who will be delivering the anti-racist training and the materials that will be used within the classrooms. We can no longer continue to just respond to culture. We must actively be anti-racist in our classrooms and in all of the schools. We must also respond to and make sure that the actions of our children and our families are not penalized by schools, because that is happening too often as well. Thank you for listening to all of our recommendations. We expect to hold you accountable and to see these in action within the next several months. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moyo White. The next speaker on our list this evening is Jeannie Figueroa.
Hi, yes, my name is Janai Figueroa, and I am a parent of amazing fourth grader within the Rochester City School District. I come here this evening with a very focused perspective on the importance of reading. On several occasions, I have come before this board advocating for my daughter and her needs specific in a reading area. All documentation and evaluations that have been done for her have really come down to decoding. And I refuse to have her be a casualty of the Rochester City School District. So often we sit and we focus on the big numbers of graduation rate rather than focusing on the problems and the challenges. And frankly, really what it comes down to is how much investment do we put in reading? How much investment do we put in math? And teaching these skills that are so important and critical to an individual being able to function effectively within the community and not just in the school system. We have a right, we have a responsibility, and my child has a right to have an education that is going to love and nurture her and support her and not frustrate her. For the last year and a half, my child has endured countless times where she has been increasingly frustrated because she has not felt the significant level of support that she's entitled to. And it's not that her classroom has not tried, but the system on so many levels has not backed her up in this area. And I know concretely as an employee of the district that this is an area that is not systemically provided. Students are not systemically provided reading supports. We do not have reading specialists in the district. We don't even provide dyslexia evaluations. That is appalling, and the district should be ashamed. We have a responsibility to provide effective education to our students. And if we're going to look at how we can use these funds, so many students across the world have been impacted by their education. We need to provide effective systemic interventions that are going to allow our students to finally have an opportunity to move forward in a way that is meaningful and move forward in a way that will not decrease our graduation rate because students won't be able to catch up, but will increase our graduation rate because students have developed the social emotional needs that are attached to a student's reading ability and have had the supports, the related services supports that are needed from the psychologists, social workers, reading specialists, resource room specialists that are in every building and not just in some. Systemic understanding of 504 plans and IEPs, rather than this dismantled perspective of what specialized services is supposed to be in a system. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Figueroa. My apologies for mispronouncing your name at the beginning too. The next speaker on our list this evening, who's in the waiting room, is Lorena Searle.
Hi, thanks. My name is Lorena Searle. I have a daughter in UPK and a son in the 4th grade OLA program at AMDA school number 12. This funding marks an opportunity to address long-standing issues of equity as well as the detrimental effects of the pandemic. And I think that we've heard that from the speakers this evening. And particularly, I'd like to shout out to the students that we've heard from. They've had really good ideas, and I would encourage the RCSD to listen to them and take them seriously. I support their calls for training and support for restorative practices in all of the schools, for an anti-racist curriculum and teacher and staff training in that curriculum, for mental health professionals and support staff in the schools to help students readjust to school and address the traumas they have faced, for training, hiring, and retaining teachers of color and those who live in Rochester. I think this is extremely important. And I think the district needs to think really broadly and creatively about how to both train and retain these teachers. And also more nutritious and culturally varied foods at school. To their list, I'd like to add a few of my own. I'd like to support Ms. Figueroa's comments about elementary literacy and sports. I think that the district could use this money to support one-on-one and small group tutoring and individual student supports, especially since I have elementary school students. I understand the real importance of literacy at a young age and the ways in which gaps in literacy can haunt students for the rest of their educational careers. I also think the district could be funding innovative summer classes, after school and wraparound programs to address the learning loss that we know has happened this year. In addition, I have concerns about the district's program to have a separate online school in the fall for some students. I want to make sure that this is as robust and as high quality education as possible. We've seen some of the problems with online education, and so the teachers for this online school need to be extremely well trained. Technology needs to be provided for students. This can't be a kind of shunting into some sort of separate space where students are not receiving the education that they deserve and need. And last, I'd like to echo the calls for engaging parents, not just saying that we're engaging parents, not just asking for input to rubber stamp proposals and decisions that have been made elsewhere. I mean, I think it's really wonderful that we're all here today offering our thoughts, but even more wonderful would be a format in which we could actually have conversations and build networks and kind of make programmatic kind of ideas come to fruition, and where afterwards we'd have some understanding of what was going to happen with our ideas, that you know, they wouldn't just kind of disappear into the ether, and there would be no accountability for what decisions actually get made within the RCSD. With all that said, I thank you very much for hosting the forum and for everything that you do, and I just want to make sure that this money is spent in the best interest of our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Searle. The next speaker on the list tonight is Mary Callahan.
Hi. Sorry. Hi, I'm Mary Callahan. I would like to speak as an RCSD parent and citizen action volunteer, but also as a teacher and equity coach in Greece, who has been working on engaging in and supporting culturally responsive shifts in my own classroom and district. In accordance with the demands and priorities of RCSD youth and the NICED CRS framework, there is a clear direction on what this paradigm shift entails. First and foremost, invest in new and innovative ways of getting student and family voices to district and building decision-making tables, planning, reflecting, revising tables, as other people have stated, at every turn, because that ongoing partnership is crucial to success. School districts are functioning under traditional systems of education that are rooted in white supremacy, from teacher ed programs to content to instructional and disciplinary practices to just general hierarchical thinking. These traditional systems have continuously proven to be detrimental, and while there have been decades of advocacy and bright spots have emerged, we never seem to have lasting holistic change. Invest in a carefully planned infrastructure, a whole new approach that builds upon our wins. Use this money to invest in the levers of the CRS framework. In addition to diversifying staff, as come up many times, it is extremely important. Current teachers, especially white teachers, need extensive training to learn things we did not get in teacher ed programs. We need an ongoing continuum of professional learning, more exposure to CR content and instructional practices, more support and accountability in using restorative approaches rather than the traditional punitive ones. We need staffing, from some kind of equity and diversity director to district level coaching team to trained staff in every building who are given time and space to support this overhaul, as well as the community partnerships. The youth have provided you with their priorities, everything from curriculum to relationship building to pathways for students to become teachers to mental health supports and school lunches. Do these things, but not only do them, invite students and families to the table when figuring out what those items will look like. Be the leadership who actually accomplishes comprehensive and sustained culturally responsive education. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your comments. The next speaker on our list this evening is Laura Delahanty. Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. I've repeatedly heard over the course of the last several years that the RCSD has struggled with budget deficits, that we must right-size the district. Well, tonight I'm here to tell you to do what is morally and ethically right for the students of the RCSD. Our first priority must be reducing class size and offering more support to our students in pre-K through 3rd grade. Research study after research study shows the importance of quality early childhood education and the effects that focusing on these early years has on a student's trajectory in life. Next, we should focus on reading and literacy. Every child in the RCSD not only reads at grade level, but loves to read. Our third priority should be pouring time, energy, and money into our arts, athletics, and extracurricular programs. I equate these things as the dessert of education, while our academic subjects are often like the peas and carrots. As a mom of 3 kids, I've learned that often the only way I get my kids to eat their peas and carrots is because of the promise of dessert. Once again, I believe that we should focus on gearing up these programs in our elementary schools. Every elementary student should have the chance to be part of a play or musical, play an instrument, or sing in the chorus. There should be Lego teams, robotics, and chess clubs. There should also be elementary athletic teams that help feed into modified and JV sports teams so that we can build true athletic programs that can compete against our suburban counterparts. The first time a young lady puts on a softball glove should not be for her high school varsity team. Finally, I believe that every school should have a designated person whose job it is to help cultivate a positive culture and climate for their school so that it is truly a joy to teach and learn there. These individuals would build on their school's assets and work towards remedying some of their challenges by creating celebrations, traditions, and constantly boosting morale. By focusing on these 4 priorities, we might not only prevent more families from leaving our district, we might actually attract families back into the district. I urge you to do what's morally and ethically right for our kids, and that is how you right size the RCSD. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Laura. Next up is Rebecca Hetherington. You should be ready to unmute.
Hi. So my name is Rebecca Hetherington, and I'm the mom of 2 RCSD students. I'm also a small business owner, the parent rep on the RCSD Finance Committee, and the secretary of PLAC, the Parent Leadership Advisory Council. I wanted to speak tonight on policy and procedure. There need to be step-by-step procedures and expectations of how the district will be including the parent and student voice in every decision made about this money, from the initial brainstorming and workshopping sessions, all the way through final approval by an accountability board made up of district stakeholders. This is an opportunity to put in place policies and procedures that mandate those most affected by the decisions you make a seat at the table at every level of the decision-making process. The continuous growing expectation as we move forward as parents is that we want to make RCSD a district of choice. We will not continue to allow RCSD to happen to us and our students. We parents have been told for over a year now that we are the most important and in some cases the only educators for our children. Yet for too long we've been locked out of the decisions that make the most impact on our children's education. And by ours, I mean our entire community. Every single child, every one of the 33,000 students this city houses and educates, whether it's in a charter or in a district-based school, spend this once-in-a-lifetime financial infusion to restructure the district to best support the needs of families and students. If a student wants a seat at 58 school, then you expand 58 for every child that wants to go there. SOTA, School Without Walls, the children's school, we all know what works, and we all know what families want and need, and this is an opportunity to bring that to them. Thank you for the opportunity to share this.
Thank you very much for your comments. Before we go to the next speaker, just wanted to make a quick note. If you are logged in and your name in the Zoom as a participant is not the name that you signed up for on your as a speaker, please make sure you correct that. So as we go through and call speakers, we're doing a search of all the participants. So it may be the case where you're logged in under someone else's name and you need to switch that so that way we can get you. If that has happened to you, because we're probably almost halfway through the speaker list, if that has already happened to you and you think we missed you, just raise your hand and we'll double back with you. All right. So the next speaker that is up on the list is Kenyon Binns. You should be good to unmute.
All right, great. Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Kenyon Binns. I have a 5-year-old in pre-K at School 15, the children's school. I'm not an expert in curriculum development or anything like that, so I don't have a specific use in mind for the money from the American Rescue Plan. The previous speakers have done a great job of that, especially the students. It was really great to hear so many kids using their voice to speak up about this. I just want to emphasize 2 themes about the use of this money. Urena mentioned them earlier: transparency and accountability. These listening tours and forums are great optics, but I think what's more important is the meetings that won't be broadcast on Zoom. I think we really need parents and students at the table in those meetings when the decisions are actually made and the funds are actually allocated. Carrie, it sounds like you're someone who can actually make that happen, and I hope that does, happen. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Thanks very much for your comments. We appreciate it. Next on our speaker list is Mary Staropoli.
Okay, hi, can you hear me okay? So my name is Mary Staropoli, and I am a SOTA School of the Arts parent, and I'm the parent leader. I want to start by mentioning the most immediate need that's right in front of us, I feel, and that's the district, that the district provides summer programming that offers our students academic and mental health support to help them catch up from this crazy, difficult year. Opportunities must be readily available and heavily advertised to RCSD families. No deadlines, no limited seats, accessible to all whenever and wherever they have the ability to take advantage of it. School districts across the country, I've been reading, are being really creative and doing whatever it takes. And I think RCSD has to do the same thing, to throw our kids a life preserver, because we know many of them are sinking. And RCSD has the CARES money in hand, so no excuses for not doing that. In terms of the long-term investments that need to be made with the money coming to RCSD, please listen to the students. They have made their priorities clear. I support their call to make bold investments in improving school climate with restorative practices and alternative to suspension programs, and caring, support social emotional staff in every building, improving school food, and providing culturally relevant and tasty meals for them every day, recruiting and retaining more teachers of color, and implementing culturally responsive curriculum district-wide. Everyone seems to be in agreement about that. So I really, really hope the district will listen and respond. Another high spending priority in my mind should be bringing special ed and multilingual learning into legal compliance. For far too long, the district has failed our most needy students, and this funding should be the boost that the district needs to finally provide that support that they need to succeed. And finally, it's my strong belief that this district, perhaps through this current rezoning initiative, must use these funds to help make a transition to neighborhoods and community schools that have wraparound support services for families that are right near their home. We know that this is critical to parent involvement and building community around our schools, and we also know it will reduce the district's outrageous transportation costs, so those resources can be freed up and spent in the classroom. However, that shift needs to be accompanied by providing equal resources and programs in every building across the district, and applying equitable student funding, so the schools with a higher needs student population will receive even more resources. And perhaps this funding will allow the district to implement that in a way where there's not going to be a cutting or taking away from any schools' existing resources to do that. So that's all I have. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Next speaker on our list is Liz Reich, who will be assisted by Idalia Santiago for interpretation services.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm Idalia. Yes, just waiting to see is Liz, ¿estás oyendo? Es tu turno.
Sí, es que no podía poner. Ok. Buenas tardes, yo soy Liz Reich.
Good
Soy
afternoon,
mamá
I'm Liz Reich. I'm a mother
de un niño de 13 años en la escuela 17.
of a 13-year-old son in number 17 school.
Y él va en octavo grado y pronto pasará a la siguiente escuela.
He's in 8th grade, and very soon he will be transferring to the next school.
Y tengo una niña pequeña que pronto este año entra a pre-K.
And I have a smaller daughter who will be entering pre-K this year.
Me gustaría mucho expresarles todas las cosas que yo quisiera tal vez pedirle al distrito.
I would like to be able to express everything I would like to ask the district for.
Yo soy parte de los programas de Hillside.
I'm part of the Hillside programs.
Padres comprometidos y del Consejo Bilingüe de Rochester.
Parents dedicated to the bilingual program in Rochester.
Okay. Y quiero agradecer a cada uno de estos programas porque Hillside ha sido un gran apoyo para nosotros. Yo soy madre soltera y siempre...
I would really like to be I'm really grateful for Hillside and all these programs because I'm a single mother.
Y he encontrado en ellos siempre un gran apoyo para
I
mi
have
hijo.
I have always found a great support in them for my son.
Lo han encauzado o enfocado a que él termine su escuela y tenga más ambiciones.
They have guided him and helped him focus in school so he can be more ambitious.
Y lo han arropado con una gran comunidad. Ellos hacen muchos proyectos, podría decirse así, y de los cuales estoy muy agradecida.
They have really supported him greatly. They have a lot of projects that have helped him a lot, and for this I'm very grateful.
Ustedes no saben la importancia que ha tenido ese programa en nuestra familia.
You don't know the importance that they have had in our family.
Lo más importante es que mi hijo sí habla inglés, pero yo no.
The most important is that my son really speaks English, but I don't.
Ellos cuentan con personas que pueden hablar español y se han esforzado tanto por poderse comunicar conmigo que estoy muy agradecida.
So they have people that speak Spanish and they have taken their time to be able to communicate with me. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yo quisiera pedirle al distrito apoyo para que hiciera algo para hacer algo bilingüe, para las escuelas bilingües, para que prepararan los maestros o hicieran más programas para los padres, para que nosotros pudiéramos apoyar a nuestros hijos. No
I would
saben.
like to ask the district to actually put more effort into trying to develop more programs that will actually bring more Hispanic or bilingual help for the parents, so the parents can better support their children.
Espero este sea el lugar correcto para expresarles.
I hope this is the correct place for me to express this to you.
Y pedirles disculpas por no poder entender lo que están muchos diciendo.
Yo no creo que debas pedir disculpas, but and to ask for to apologize for not being able to understand what all of you are saying.
Como persona me siento frustrada porque no puedo comunicarme.
I really feel very frustrated because I cannot really communicate.
Si yo me siento así, me pongo en el lugar de toda la comunidad que como yo no podemos expresarnos y no tenemos un apoyo, un lugar donde ir a aprender o apoyo en nuestras escuelas, que lleguen niños de otros países y no tengan apoyo bilingüe.
And just like me, I cannot even express, or I cannot even feel how, I don't know how other people can feel not being able to communicate and to understand, you know, how they feel not being able to communicate to understand what's going on in the school.
Eso sería todo y pues darle las gracias al programa de Hillside porque no tengo palabras de verdad. Ha sido un programa esencial en mi hijo.
And that's all I have to say, and really appreciate and Hillside program because that's been a very essential part in my son's learning.
Es como si hubiera encontrado un hermano mayor en su, no sé cómo llamarlo, mentor, el señor Paul y todas las personas que han trabajado con él. Mil gracias. De verdad es un programa que yo sí quisiera que continuara y que lo siguieran apoyando.
It's like he have found like an older brother on his mentor, Mr. Paul, and he would like the program to continue so he can continue receiving the support he's getting.
Es todo. Muchísimas gracias.
That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next on the speaker list is Mary Adams. You should be good to unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If I break up, I will go off camera because it seems like our household has unstable internet tonight. I'm Sarah's mom, one of the second or third students who spoke, and she spoke eloquently, I think, about the blocks and the frustrations with knowing that we have so much wisdom, resources, and knowledge within the school district over many years to implement culturally responsive and sustaining resources. We've heard so many people, parents, youth, members of the community, educators, advocate for what New York State Education Department is now advocating and providing resources for with the language of culturally responsive sustaining framework, or CRS. And we appreciate seeing it listed among your priorities in the responses to budget questions on the ARP priority list, et cetera. But we urgently need this priority to be proven as actionable to us. And what I mean by this is that we simply cannot allow this to go any further of the patterns, the cycles of implementing good things, pieces of good things that are marginalized and honestly actively sabotaged at times from corners of the district, from within areas of the district, certain schools that don't want to do it. That's unacceptable. So we really need to lean into the NYSED framework along with these resources that we have. And it's a perfect match. This type of work is a perfect match for the alignment of the NYSED framework with the shorter term, relatively large influx of resources. This is an opportunity that can't be missed. We really have to have like actionable plans that are built with solid criteria, with people who are qualified to build those criteria. The plan has to be like multidimensional, like a series of plans that really fit together, because the CRS framework includes disciplinary and school climate elements. It's not just culturally responsive curriculum, historically accurate scholarship. It is definitely that. And it is definitely anti-racism, and it is definitely pedagogy and building, you know, the ability for teachers to teach in every school and connect. But it also includes plans for long-term professional development that's built in, welcoming school environments, it's built in. All of these things come together, the things that we've been advocating. So these plans must include defined timeframes. They must list responsible district personnel, like who are the leaders, and prove to us that they're qualified. Not just people who can speak well. I'm sorry, I need to be honest here because I've seen it over the years. We need to have precise mechanisms for including parent and youth input in addition to union input. I've heard that spoken many times tonight, and I wholeheartedly agree with the other parents who've been saying, we need to be at the table, youth needs to be at the table, not surveyed shoddily, not asked about something after the fact, and not done in a dismissive way. It has to be real and it has to be solid. We need defined measures, and that doesn't just mean quantitative measures, that can be qualitative measures of what is the expected outcome of different steps of the process of implementing the CRS framework. What are the estimated costs and revenue sources? So based on my experience, I just have 2 points I want to make, 2 strategies that I hope district leaders will listen to and that it will resonate with them. 2 strategies. One is to engage with a technical assistance provider that has both content expertise and large-scale project management expertise. So this could be NYU Steinhardt, it could be the University of Rochester right here. I mean, I was a board member when we built the EPO partnership with East, and that was a really creative, out-of-the-box strategy. We need something like that. We need all hands on deck, set egos aside, bring people together and make a really solid plan with people who are qualified to do so, with youth, parents, community members, educators, members of all the bargaining units, all at the table. The other strategy is to really rebuild a broad partnership model. So similar to the work that we did leading up to the 2016 Code of Conduct revision, and all of those recommendations that went along with that, restorative practices, help zones, many other things that reached partial implementation. That process though, that community partnership where we were deeply connecting with leadership in the district was really effective. And I know I've heard board members speak recently to the effectiveness of that process and appreciating the work that was done. We need to rebuild that kind of a process. So thank you for your time and really look forward to the work ahead.
Thanks very much for your thoughts. Next on the speaker list is Shanae Smith. And excuse me if I mispronounced your name.
Am I muted, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep.
No worries. Hi, everybody. My name is Sean Smith. It's Shania, but Sean works just fine. I'm a long-term RCSD parent and activist for RCSD. I'm here to support the demands of TWA, or Teens with Attitude. Last Saturday, a lot of the members of TWA as well as Citizen Action met at my business to have a meeting about what they would like to see done with this money. And I like to say I'm not one of the parents that do all the eloquent talking or have all the facts and figures, but I do support those parents. And I want to say that please pay attention to the verbiage and the wording of what's being said here. Teens with attitudes are demanding these things from you guys. It was different when we were marching down to Albany, and remember a lot of the members of Teens with Attitude and a lot of the other students were sliding those pink slips under Cuomo's door. It was those kids that did that. Those are the kids that I stand behind, and that's the fire that's going to drive me to make sure that you guys know that these are demands. The same way that you see these other states and you see it's them versus the board, I'm here to tell you in all respect, it's going to be us versus you if you don't spend this money on our kids the way that they deserve, right? I keep hearing these words, equity and value. They are enough. Give them the money. They know how they want to spend it. They've already got lined out. These parents, everybody has put all this effort into it, just like we put the effort in to get it. I like to see that everybody keep that same effort into making sure that they're doing it. You have the money. You have all of our money, right? And by it, I hope you intend to do right by us, because as parents, we intend to see it happen. We have a lot of support behind these kids that are asking for what they need, and we will not give up. We will be relentless. We know you have the money. Please do right by us and spend it the right way, right? We know that there's creative ways to the budget to make it happen. And we know, I've heard so many times to those kids, the blocks, the things that you are going to say. And they were already preparing to be denied, right? In some sense. And I hated that. I hated to hear. So I want you to know that we will not be denied. I stand with TWA. I stand with the kids. I stand with the parents. And we are coming for the money that we deserve to be spent on our kids the way they deserve and the way that they're asking you. Thank you for letting me speak. And please invest in our children. They are worth it. So thank you again for letting me speak. And please do right by us. We deserve it. All of us. All the kids at RCSD.
Yes, thank you very much for your feedback and your thoughts. Next on the speakers list is Bridget Williams. Bridget, if you're still with us, you should be able to unmute. I'll tell you what, Bridget, if you're having difficulty, we'll head to our next speaker, and then if you just raise your hand, we'll come on back to you. All right. So the next speaker on the list after Bridget would be Elisa Hathaway, and you should be able to unmute, Elisa.
Got it. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dr. Elisa Hathaway, the Director of Project Stronger at Mount Hope Family Center. We work with children and families in our community to support them in addressing the impact of trauma exposure. And our center has partnered with the Rochester International Academy, or RIA, over the past few years, and this has allowed us to see what a necessity RIA is in the district and for our community. Our community is enriched by the refugee children and families who have sought refuge from their countries of origin. The stories of migration are treacherous and brave, remarkable and horrific. Statistically, refugees are more likely to experience trauma and mental health challenges than the general population, both pre and post-migration. According to our country's current administration and Catholic Family Center, who supports refugee resettlement, there will be over 1,000 refugees relocating to our community in the coming years. Over the past few months, 2 of our mental health staff were able to provide on-site therapeutic support for students at RIA. Our staff have seen and felt the tremendous power of RIA firsthand. Youth sought out interaction and engagement with our staff and utilized the support to their advantage. We were surprised by them doing so as quickly as they did, given mental health services and providers are typically viewed with scrutiny and distrust and stigma. We attribute this to the safety and focus on mental health and wellness the RIA staff have created for their students. It is apparent that students walk through the doors and immediately feel visible, attended to, supported, valued, and respected. The staff at RIA are operating through a lens of trauma-informed care and humanity. This is the type of specialized school setting we need in our community and our district to illuminate the strengths and address the vast and varying challenges faced by a diverse refugee population. This is truly a community school that focuses on the social emotional learning and development of their students so that students have strong foundation and capacity for focusing on their academic learning and growth. The Rochester International Academy is an exemplar for optimal culture and climate, and our students deserve this. Please consider allocating ARP funding toward RIA resources, another home for refugee children and families, and for RIA to extend their expertise in supporting refugee students across the district. Thank you.
Thanks very much. We're going to loop back to one of our speakers that was missed on the first round. We're going to loop back to Liz Reich, and your son was also with you to add some comments. So should be able to go ahead. And Idalia, you're unmuted as well.
Hello, Liz.
Sí.
Están esperando por ustedes para que hablen.
Okay. Hi, my name is Aram. I am a student from School 17, and I would ask the district to please give us hot meals. Usually in the school, the meals are cold, and it's usually not a problem, but sometimes it's kind of a problem most of the time. Yeah. Thank you.
Es todo seguro. Liz no tiene nada que añadir.
Great. Thanks very much. We appreciate it. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, next on our list is Kathleen Kern.
Yep, that is correct, Steve. Thank you.
I believe you're unmuted and ready to go, Kathleen.
Kathleen, I think you might need to unmute again, please.
Sorry.
There you go.
I was asked by someone in Citizen Action to speak tonight. I'm actually from Brighton, and I think he wanted me to speak because in the Brighton City Schools, our budget is entirely separate from the city. So money for the police and for sewage and so on is never taken from the schools. So the parents essentially vote. The budget is completely transparent. The parents, anyone can see what the money is being spent on, and the parents vote separately for that budget. So the parents have a great deal of control on how the money is spent. And I think, basically, I think the parents and the children of Rochester City Schools deserve some kind of control like that. So.
Okay. Thank you for coming out tonight and providing us that feedback. The next speaker on the list this evening is Jonathan Gonzalez.
Hello. Hi, my name is Jonathan Gonzalez. I am a graduate of East High School. I graduated in 2017. I'm first generation. My father came from Puerto Rico and my mom from Ukraine. But basically, I've gone through the city school district. I've graduated a salutatorian. I went through some of the career pathways at East High and been working in the optics industry for 3 years now. Basically, I'm making it up as I go, and the opportunities that I've had through the school district and the programs and everything that the schools have done for me is the reason I am able to do the things I am now and to buy a car and have a decent job and make a life for myself. So basically what I want to see is just, I want to see the money invested in anything, all the programs, anything that will help students, because I know for a fact there are going to be kids that were in a position where I was, where you went to school even though you didn't have electricity on at the house, or there was a bankruptcy, or family had drug issues. But you still go to school because sometimes that's what they provide that for you, and it's a place to go and you get the free lunches and you get an education and you can make something out of yourself. So basically what I want to see is just the money being used. I know for a fact I have a brother that's graduating as a senior, but I know this whole Corona and Zoom, I don't feel that he's equipped for the real world. And I think it's a shame, but it is the circumstances. So really, I just want to see on any and all money just being put towards things that are really going to matter, things that are really going to make a difference. Because I know for a fact that I've had plenty of teachers that looked out for me when nobody else would. And this wasn't part of their job, but they did that. But also just programs, sports, career training, and just things, because I know for a fact I had the grades to go to college, but just the way life works out, sometimes you don't have the resources or anything like that. You just got to make it up as you go. So really, I just want to see any and all monies just thrown towards opportunities that are really going to matter, really going to help the kids. And I want to see results, really, in the end of it. I'm sure we all do. Thank you.
Thank you for those thoughts tonight. We appreciate your time and you making the effort to come out. The next speaker on our list tonight is Jamarian Colbert. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yeah, I just need to fix my camera real quick. Okay, so jumping off of what he said, I'm also a graduate of East High School. I graduated in 2019. So how my journey went, I basically went to college straight after high school, and upon it is this whole Corona thing, it really messed everything up on top of what we had to do in college, because all we was told in high school was go straight to college after high school. There wasn't really no career path, it wasn't really a lot of options or suggestions or career pathways from high school to go to college. But after I got out of college, I came in contact with Paul Conroe, which is a East High School teacher. He taught AP Physics, which was a class I took. So connecting with him, he provided me with an opportunity to work at L3 Harris. And with that being said, that enabled me to to live on my own from like since January, and I'm now on my third car, and I'm trying to buy a house like in the next couple of years or so. And school really don't have career pathways to set kids up to do that. So my suggestion is to have some of this money go towards a pipeline or a program that can be created to help kids like me or kids that was in my shoes from 11th to 10th grade who have no career paths set up for them in order to go to college and have them get in the pathway where I started from. So basically what I'm trying to say is it'll be a lot better for seniors and kids who just coming out of high school. Instead of going to college, have them a career pathway to have them set up early on to where they know what to do once they get out instead of just going straight to college. So basically what I'm doing now, I just had an interview with Corning, and I will be working there in a couple of weeks. Actually, I'm waiting on an interview to get back to me. So, and this will also help me sustain myself from living since January or up to this month and past this month and so on in order to sustain myself alone. Because a lot of kids my age, because I just turned 20 last year, so a lot of kids my age are really not living on their own and providing for themselves and have a car on their own. So it'll be great to have a career pathway or a pipeline or opportunity to help kids who, again, was in my shoes and instead of going to college, having the opportunity to know what they're doing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and feedback tonight. We appreciate you coming out. Next on our list this evening is Jorge Hernandez. I know that we've been thinking that there might be some technical issues with Mr. Hernandez. So if Mr. Hernandez, can you hear us? Okay, I think, oh, there we go. Perfect. Welcome. Oh, we can see you, but we can't hear you. Okay, I'm going to put you in touch with our technical person and we'll go to the next speaker and then circle back. Oh, actually, wait a second, we might have it. Can you say something?
Good evening, my name is George. Yeah.
We got it, thank you.
I honestly don't like doing meetings or whatever, but I thought it was very important to attend this meeting because I mean, I graduated from East High School 2018, January, and I used to go, I did an optics program over there, and since then I've been working full time, and it really helped me. And yeah, I just felt like that's very important to do more programs. And yeah, just need more programs and everything. That's really all I got.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that as well as your patience while we figured out how to unmute you tonight. So moving to the next speaker. Next up tonight is Chaz Washington. You should be all set.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good evening. Thank you for giving us your time today. I'm Chaz Washington, graduate 2019 from East High, currently working at Ba Shalom. Today I want to talk very briefly about the class structure of the city school. In my opinion, I know that Common Core is very needed, but at the same time, we need career pathways and electives. In each, there were some such as Teaching and Learning Institute, Culinary, Precision Optics by Paul Conroe, and we even once had a firefighter program, but it got taken away. Hopefully, with some of the federal money, we can help incorporate more career paths for scholars who plan to move on outside of high school that don't want to go to college. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out and sharing your thoughts with us tonight. We appreciate that. Next up is Paul Conroe.
All right, I'm unmuted. All right, thank you. My name is Paul Conroe. I've taught at East High for 20 years. In the past, I've spoken at these meetings as a teacher and as a parent, but tonight I'm speaking as an administrative assistant for the group of men that you were just hearing. So far, the speakers by number 6, 7, and 72 through 75 are using me as their secretary, because as a group, they all came from East. Some of them have been in the East Optics program, a couple of the machines behind me. And here's the deal. Here's why I'm speaking for them as their administrative assistant. These guys are recent RCSD grads who found success in the workforce. They are satisfied users of this system. Everybody has stuff to dump on the district. What other districts doing bilingual the way we do? What other districts putting up the kind of numbers with the kind of poverty that our kids face at home? So they are satisfied users of the system. They have advice about what worked for them, what can be done differently, and what might not be so valuable. All respect to the teachers and the parents and the admins. We're not the users of this system. It doesn't really matter our point of view when our kids go out into the workforce. We're not there on the interviews with them. These guys are there, and they want to help you know what's working and what needs to be changed and what we can replicate. Because there's good things in the district, and they know it, and they know what's working for their friends. So 2 minutes per person is not enough time to hear their advice. Georgie may have been a little quiet. You get him in a room, in 10 minutes, he'll give you a great set of things to do. So please reach out to me, Paul Conroe, pdconroe@msn.com. It's my administrative assistant email. And I'm going to arrange for this team to meet with a representative of the school district and or the school board so they can give ongoing advice. Because listen, industry and the workforce is our end user. They are the customer. These guys know what the customer wants. Have a great night.
Thank you for your thoughts tonight. We appreciate you coming out. Our next speaker is Laura Smith.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi. Hi, everyone. So my name's Laura Smith. I'm a Rochester City resident and a proud parent of a future RCSD student, although fingers crossed she'll be in pre-K this fall, so that's not so future. That's a bit worrying. Okay, but so I'm here tonight really for a couple of purposes. First off, I just want to wholeheartedly agree with the students who have spoken earlier tonight and those who have done a lot of work over the last few years looking at how we can, as a district, heal from the chronic underfunding that we've experienced year after year. I support all of their demands regarding culturally responsive curriculum, relationship building, social emotional supports, Black and Brown teachers, food improvements, and career inspiring courses. I think that if we were able to sustain funding at a level that actually meets the need of our district, all of those things would see us be very successful. It's very, very difficult because as a district, we don't have role model districts that are more successful, because the truth is that that all of the districts that are have the demographics that we do have the lack of financial support from the state and locally that we do struggle in the same ways. So we are kind of trying to blaze our own future here with this money. And I want to say that I think that we can think of some ways to be creative in spending. What can we provide with the money that will bring about long-term improvements and bring about the relationship buildings, which are the foundation that we need to move on? So for example, Ms. Reich spoke earlier via an interpreter, and one thing that I think that highlights to us is that in a district with 85 different languages spoken, we heavily need to invest more in our interpretation services so that all of the parents can be in the room and be in the discussions. So for example, there's a number of technology options that we can choose with translation headsets that would allow many more of our parents and families to participate. And if we had the mindset of using money in that way, and the agreement from everyone that everyone's voice should be in the room, we are likely to see a more sustainable trajectory. The other thing I'd like to mention about that is that people have talked wonderfully about like career inspiring courses, but we also need to change our mentality for our multi-language students in general. Our multi-language students are a valuable asset to the community, and there is long-term sustainable work from the fact that they speak eloquently in several languages. So if we're looking at long-term options, we spend the initial money and then we're trying to sustain the money. One thing that we can do is look at working with the new language access role in Monroe County, whereby we could set out an example of how language access support really works. And then we could use that and ask other school districts to pay for the services that we have, rent them out, use them at their meetings, and kind of model for them, and also use that as a financially sustainable tool for our district.
Thank you.
One final, no, sorry, no, I had lots more to say, but thank you very much for your time. Bye.
Thank you very much for coming out and for your feedback tonight. We appreciate it. Our next speaker tonight is Koji Schroeder. So Koji, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I also can unmute myself.
We can hear you. We can hear you. You're good.
Good evening. My name is Koji Schroeder, and I'm a retired Rochester City School District teacher. I certainly appreciate the two speakers who talked about the needs of our multilingual speakers, and I'm so moved. Okay. Of course, I certainly support having an international program, but I also want to make sure that we do care about the students who come to us with very limited education and have a particular Sife for Life program for them, a program that we separate from teaching ENL. These are literacy classes that we need, classes that are for pre-literate or semi-literate students, and have only 8 students in them, with a curriculum that is authentic, literacy focused, and has ideas to prepare such population for regular high school classes while preparing them for skill-centered work through intensive literacy and vocational programs. Without a suitable program for our pre-literate and semi-literate students, our students will lack the critical foundation for the rest of their education and will continue to be grossly disadvantaged as they move on. I also believe in having in every school a literacy center for writing, reading, and writing. We must have specialist people to work with our students, to teach them and prepare them to be students who can do research, collect, preserve, interpret, and disseminate materials in all formats as they are learning in their classes. We have to understand that our non-native or multilingual speakers are not needy necessarily of our pity. We cannot colonize them by the way we teach them and assume they know nothing and they are here for us to save them. That has been extremely hurtful to me. I hope and trust the district, and I have faith in your collective goodness and trust in your compassionate determination. I would love to be of help in any models that I can. Thank you for hearing me, and I hope we can work together. Good night.
Thank you, Koji, for coming out tonight. It was great to hear your thoughts and your feedback.
Thank you.
We have the next speaker on our list is Jose Laracuente. Again, my apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. Please feel free to correct me when you are able to unmute.
Hello. Good
Hi, how are you
afternoon. My
today?
name is Jose. Give me one quick second. I apologize.
Sure.
I just want to get some brightness up in here. How's it going? I'll be honest with you guys. I am a Edison alumni. I graduated from Edison the year of 2016, and I have seen a lot of growth within the years while I've been at school. A lot of different programs will help me. I have been a ESL student all my life. English is my second language. I struggle with English as well. And to be honest with you guys, after I graduated at Edison, for all those teachers that helped me out, since starting with Hillside, advocates who helped me out throughout this whole entire journey, you know, they have helped me find my true potential and what I want to be in life. I be honest with you right now, I've done so much stuff because of the teachers and the staff that has been there, that have supported. And even though I'm not even, I graduated, I'm not even part of that school, the thing is the connection that I built with all those staff that were there, they are still part of my life until this day. They still check up and they still is asking me, you know, Jose, how's your life? You know, they still follow me. You know, they still are just looking out for me. You know, I've done so much, you know, in my modeling career. I have done various of New York fashion runways, and I think, you know, I think those staff within the school, you know, that never gave up on their students, that never, you know, that always saw a greater potential. You know, I come from New York City, you know, and I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I apologize. I come from New York City, going to Rochester, not knowing nothing, starting at the 10th grade level. And I remember I didn't have no friends. I didn't have nothing. I started from zero. And going to Edison, you know, knowing I have, you know, those staff around me, so surrounding me all the time, you know, telling me to get to class and do this, you know. Yes, at some point, I was kind of annoyed because, you know, I was a student, but I knew they was looking out for me and they saw the better and the growth in me. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you guys again for the opportunity right now. If you guys want to speak later on, you guys can always contact me at Jose L at gmail.com, and you guys can always contact me. But thank you again. I was trying to make it short, so thank you.
Thanks so much for coming out tonight. We appreciate that.
Of course.
I believe we are on to our last speaker who we have on the speakers list this evening. If by any chance we have overlooked you and you are on the list, please at this time, if you could raise your hand so that you could enact your opportunity and your right to speak tonight. And of course, you know, we are happy and thrilled to have such a large representation of cross-stakeholder groups who participated this evening. So without further ado, our last speaker on our list tonight is John Hall.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I want to start off by saying I'm John Hall. I graduated from East High in the class of 2019, which was only 2 years ago. Yeah, going on 2 years. I want to say that all ideas that I heard so far is actually pretty good. All ideas are good ideas. But for me, what helped me and worked for me coming from the RCSD, if it wasn't for a teacher like Paul Conroe that was really interested in students and wanted a better life for them, I don't know where I would be today, because a guy like Paul Conroe, he started the optics program at East High just because the student needed glasses. Like, we need more teachers like that in general. But God, I lost my train of thought. I had a good speech and I lost my train of thought. But the moral is we should help. Well, we have ideas we have good ideas on how you guys can spend money. If you guys need help or have any questions, you can contact me at my email or Mr. Conroy, his email. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We'll do one last pass to see if there are any raised hands. I'm not seeing any. Steve, am I missing something or are we good? Okay. So at this time, again, I'd just like to thank everyone for your participation and your great feedback and thoughts tonight. At this time, I am going to pass the mic back over to Dr. Morris for some final thoughts and words as we close out this evening's public forum session. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you so much, Carrie and Steve, for your amazing facilitation this evening. Really appreciate it. You guys did an amazing job. Loved it. And thank you to everyone who's given them that recognition and feedback as well in the chat. We are so happy and grateful for all of your participation this evening. We had more than 90 people sign up to participate this evening. And we also want to make sure that we acknowledge and recognize and thank the board members who participated in this evening's hearing. We had President White, we had Commissioner Adams, Malloy, and Commissioner Powell on board to listen to all of your feedback, and we appreciate your participation this evening. We appreciate the students coming in and the parents and all the community members, the returning students who came in and gave your thoughts and your feedback. Appreciate it all, and all of this is being captured so that we can share it with the superintendent, and definitely we appreciate all of this. So just to let you know, you can, if you didn't get an opportunity to give all of your thoughts tonight, or if you have additional ideas that might have come up that you want to make sure gets to the district for consideration, please visit our website at rcsdk12.org/ARP, and we are accepting as much feedback as we can get, so please don't hold back. I appreciate everything, and we will make sure that we have this passed along to the team that is convened to provide recommendations for the use of funds based on this feedback. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for spending this evening with everyone, and thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.